Welcome back to the Phenom Fantasy Channel, the Pneumonia special. This week, I'm just going to go ahead and combine them. I don't want to do this forever. To be honest, I don't feel that good, but it's important. We've been doing this all year, and some of you guys, it's down to the neck cutting time. Hey, it's down to the neck cutting. That's what time it is now. So let's see scoreboard here. Let's go through the standings. You know what? Let's go to the win-loss first. We're going to talk about last week, and then we'll hit the standings and say what that meant for some of your losses. Red Nuts versus Tatanka Blanco. You lost basically by 70 points. It's a bad deal for you. You're not as good as Tatanka Blanco, and that's okay. Nobody else is either. Tatanka Blanco definitely the high scorer last week in a landslide victory. And, I know I'm not shocked by it. I'm assuming you're not shocked by it. You know what I mean? But that's okay. It probably didn't hurt that. It didn't matter because I beat you by 70, but it probably also didn't hurt that a defense scored 33 points. That's not a thing that happens very often. Excuse me. Just looking real quick at everybody's roster. No of your high scores last week scored in the 30s, but a defense did. Only 2 30s last week, and that was my guy at quarterback and my guy at defense. Well, it's like I'm a mastermind, Red Nuts. So, it's not that big a deal. I'd rather be dead than red on the head. So sometimes people don't win. Okay, Downtown St. Brown versus Lamborghini. Hamburghini, you got beat by Downtown St. Brown, and he's eliminated from the playoffs. But that's what I like. BJ's like, you know what, I'm eliminated, but I don't give up. He's like, Goonies never die, is what he said. And then he beat you you didn't do very good. Congratulations, BJ. Bye week versus Tickle Shits. You won by about 700. Thanks, Tickle Shits. I needed you to come through. You definitely did not. Would have secured a first round bye, but you really blew it for everybody. Thanks for doing that. And then we have Wrecking Crew 101 to 67. And then Wrecking Crew versus Willie Bad. I'm going to be honest, there's 10 people in this league, and nobody in this league thought Willie Bad was going to win this week, to include Willie Bad. Anyway, Cody, you're on the bubble here. You're in first place right now, but in like some kind of odd turn of events. If you lose, I don't know where you fall. I don't think you fall out, but you're not gonna have a first round bye. But you pulled that one out, and then rebuilding season 116 to 99. I didn't watch that game, but I thought before the game started that if Jackson Dart, because he had scored a few points in a game or two, I thought if Jackson Dart could have a big game like he's had and can outdo Drake May, because Drake May, I think he's had one big game, but not as many as Jackson Dart from memory. And I thought he had a shot, and then I woke up and saw that, and that was terrible. But Mitchell is, as much as we mouth Mitchell and make fun of him, you're 8-5. That's the best record you've ever had in fantasy, and you're still winning. So I guess we could say what we want, but you did it. So now let's go to the standings based on what happened last week. We have 3 people that have made the playoffs. 3 people for sure are in the playoffs, and that is myself, rebuilding season, bye week. Actually, I need both of you guys to lose this week. I need rebuilding season and bye week to both lose. That would be awesome for me. But the only 8-win teams in the whole league are on one side of the bracket. So it must be nice to be over in the other bracket. Cody's sitting in first place, and he don't even know what it's like to have more than 7 wins. Yeah, man, that's a bad deal. That's a rough deal. If any of us 3 were on their side, we'd all have first-round buys. You know what I mean? But it's just how it shakes out. Sometimes you got a great division. Sometimes you got one that's not. Sometimes you're the Steelers and you make the playoffs last year when you're 7-7 or whatever. Whatever record doesn't make any sense. 8-9 or whatever they were. I don't remember. But so anyway, Tatanka Blanco is in first place. The what's that power rankings? Yeah, he's number one in the power rankings. Nobody's shocked by it. So Cody 7-6, Wrecking Crew 7-6, Lloyd's Teams of Trash Can 7-6, and then the rest of that division is eliminated. And then on the trick side, the top three have made the playoffs guaranteed. The bottom two they're going to make the playoffs. We just don't know where it's going to shake out. So we're top three are guaranteed to make the playoffs. Depending on who wins and who loses, that's what shapes it up. Depending on the amount of scores, because some of the scores are kind of close, and somebody could get jumped if they have the same record. So what's weird is it's the last week of the season and it's still anybody's game, So, all right, here we go. This week, let me just get these called out real fast. As you can tell, I don't sound real good. I don't even feel that good, to be honest. But I'm tired of talking. All right, this week, Tatanka Blanco versus Bye Week. Bye Week's projected to win 103-99. All the advantages basically go to Bye Week. But when I started looking at Bye Week's roster, I realized that a lot of his players look like they're probably not good at football in real life. And so, like Derrick Henry, he's old. Nico Collins, he doesn't catch passes very much. He just did a couple times in a row. Devontae Adams, he's questionable. He'll probably set out because he's a baby. Dallas Joe Dierte, he's probably not good. George Pickens, I don't know. I don't recall even hearing his name. Nobody's ever heard of the Colts or Tyler Loop. So I think Tatanka Blanco wins this one by probably 20 this week. You can mark that one down. Wrecking Crew versus Tickle Shits. Wrecking Crew, here's you're projected to win 96-87, which sounds like a pretty close projection. The only thing that Tickle Shits has going for him is he has Josh Allen. And I know, like, some of you want to mouth an underdog and be like, Josh Allen, he hosed me. Well, whatever. It's Josh Allen. He could score 60 this week. And so, based on that, Tickle Shits, I think you got a real shot this week to lose by 15. So, I'm taking Wrecking Crew in that one. Willie Bad versus Will's Teams of Trash Can. Will is projected to win by 22 points, 103-81 versus Willie Bad. Basically, every advantage is checked for Will. Willie Bad, you're 3-9-1. Yeah. The greatest game ever played. You were a part of the greatest fantasy game ever played. And I know that feels good. Here's what you need to know. When we get put in the Hall of Fame for that game, like, you're in the Hall of Fame also. You were part of that. You did that. You accomplished that. It wasn't, it was the result you were hoping for. That was best case scenario, because the other case was that you lose. You were never going to win. Worst case scenario for me that we tied, but the fact that one game puts us in the Hall of Fame, we're a part of history together. You know what I mean? We're Larry and Magic. That's who we are. We're Larry and Magic. Whoever Michael's biggest rival was, we're Larry and Magic. So that's who we are. You're going to lose this week. Will, you got that one hands down. Probably about 30. Downtown St. Brown rebuilding season. Well, I can do away with bye week after I beat them by 30. I think that was a projection. If I do that, I get the bye no matter what. But what would I like to see happen? Downtown St. Brown, I want you to come alive. I want you to play the best game you've ever played in fantasy in your life. Unfortunately, I looked at your roster, and Kyron Williams gets the ball only about half the game. Kareem Hunt, he did score some touchdowns there 4 or 5 weeks in a row, but I think he's back to being normal. Xavier Worthy's not their main receiver. A.J. Brown scored 30 last week, but it hadn't happened all season. He'll return to normal. Gadsden, he literally just had a 2-week period there where he got the ball. He's back to normal. Daryl Mooney, no. Steelers defense, your kicker's good. Your kicker has the ability to kick 70-yard field goals, but I'm not sure how good he is. Basically, the advantages are all Mitchell. And so by that, the ESPN has projected Mitchell to win. I want Billy Jack to win. Let's get that out in the open public, because I don't think Mitchell's good at fantasy. I think his dog is not very smart. You can look at his eyes and see that something's wrong with him because his eyes are real spaced out, far apart. You know those fish in The Simpsons, the cartoon in The Simpsons, where their eyes are real far apart? That's what his dog reminds me of. I know something's not right, like with the nuclear waste fish. That's what his dog looks like. Honestly, what Mitchell doesn't know is every time I've been around, I'll pet him because it'll look like I'm a dog lover, and I immediately go sanitize my hands so I can get the dumb off my hands. Then we have Lamborghini versus Red Nuts. Lamborghini, you're projected to win 93 to 100. You're in my division too. You're both in my division. You're both 7-6. So I mean, best case scenario for me, for you two, is that you tie. Who am I going to give the projection to? I'm going to give the projection to. Golly, it's equally not good. Actually, guys, it's actually equally super not good. I actually think Lamborghini's going to win the thing just by looking at his roster. I'm not a believer in R.J. Harvey. I was mouthing him when the game started because if you go look at his points this year, he was terrible. But once he scored 2 touchdowns, he ended up with a few points. So if he's their touchdown scorer and they have a pretty good team, well, then he'll score some points. Based on that, no offense, Red Nuts, I'm taking Lamborghini, though I wish you guys would tie. All right, that's it. Love everybody. Thanks for listening in for the Pneumonia special. All right. Well, it's good to see you guys, and we'll catch you at the recap when we know how this thing actually shakes out.